Interview the Best has been designed to help you maximize your efforts to find and land a job. It is an easy-to-follow step-by-step system so that you will understand the entire job search and interview process. We recommend that you watch the DVD from start to finish. Feel free to pause and take notes. You can also skip to any segments that may apply to your needs. And now, here's the creator of Interview the Best, Alan Ladd.
Hi, I'm Alan Ladd. I was a recruiter for an executive search firm for over 20 years. Placed hundreds of candidates just like yourselves in many great jobs. I'm going to tell you what I've told everybody I've ever sat across from. It doesn't matter how overqualified or underqualified you are. The person that interviews the best will always get the job. And I'll teach you exactly what I taught every other successful candidate that went out into the workplace. Learn to communicate your strengths. Take those strengths and apply them to the job that you're interviewing for. We're going to talk today about your resume. We're going to talk about finding a job. We're going to talk about looking at the workplace in a whole new way, how to prepare, and how to interview for the job. And when we're done with Interview the Best, I'm hoping that you're going to look at the entire interview process in a whole new light. You're going to understand what the interview process is. You're going to understand what the hiring manager is looking for and why. And you're going to have a whole new confidence level going in than you did before. And you're going to understand the importance of knowing your skills and communicating them to apply them to the job that you're interviewing for. Now, what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to introduce everybody at the panel here today. And I'd also like to find out if any of you have ever been taught how to interview or how to find a job.
I'm David Brooks. I'm an unemployed aerospace engineer, and I got a career consultant through EDD through California State, where I got my unemployment insurance, and she gave me some interviewing workshops and some networking workshop material that I did use on my last interview, but apparently it wasn't sufficient.
I'm Jamie Burke, and I graduated from UCLA, so it's kind of sad because I went to a great school, but I've never had a class or never a seminar on how to interview.
Hi, I'm Dave Grenley. I've been unemployed now for 3 months. I've never had any formal training in terms of acquiring an interview, performing at a high level in an interview, or anything close to it. So this is going to be very helpful.
Hi, my name is Lisa Mawalou, and no, I've never had any training for an interviewing position. I'm in between jobs right now, always been in sales, and my biggest hurdle that I need to overcome is not having a 4-year degree.
My name is Jacob Cantor. I just graduated from Cal State University of Northridge. I was there for 5 years, and I'd say that in that whole 5 years I had a maximum of 2 hours of how-to type instruction, and that's it.
Amazing. Okay.
My name is Yvette Garcia, and I'm going to college, City College, and I've never been taught how to go to an interview or any responses I should give at all whatsoever, or even how to do a resume. So.
Okay, you're going to learn it all today. I'm thrilled to have you here. Remember, the goal of Interview the Best is to help you find a job and prepare you for the interview. We will separate you from all the other candidates that are interviewing for the same job and give you an edge that will make a difference.
The resume. The resume is the first key to help you open the door.
People always discuss whether or not to have a professional write your resume or do it yourself. And I always tell everyone that it depends on your situation. If you are currently employed, I always suggest that people write their own resumes. Because you want to put out the persona that you're not out there interviewing. You have a job. But you're so excited about the job that you're interviewing for that you put this resume together specifically for that interview. If you've had already professionally made, well, obviously this isn't your first interview. You're out there sending it out. But if you do it yourself, use that information to your benefit. I put this resume together just for this specific interview, and you're going to score a lot more points.
This is how a resume should look and read. Who you are and where you can be reached. Objective, what you're looking for. Education, schools you've attended. Be honest about your GPA. Work experience, make sure it's in chronological order and the dates are correct. Training, formal training increases your worth. Accomplishments, what have you done that you're proud of? Skills, what added strengths do you bring to the job? And remember to use words and phrases that pop.
Your resume is your blueprint. It's who you are. It's what you have accomplished. You need to be proud of every decision you ever made, and it's going to show in the resume. Take the time to write it properly and set out all your accomplishments on that piece of paper. Resumes should always be, if at all possible, one page. If you have so much material that you're forced to do 2 pages, get it all in 2 pages. Don't make a 3-page resume. By the time it gets to the interviewer itself, I promise you, half the time they're going to lose one of the pages. So try to make it 1 page. Make the material relevant of who you are, the experience that you've gathered, and that's appropriate for the job that you're interviewing for. If you send a resume in, they don't know who you are. They don't know what you look like. They don't know your personality. They're just looking at the resume, and they're looking for words that are going to pop. They're going to jump out. They're going to that they think is going to meet the needs of the job. If you don't have those key words in there, your resume is just going to go in the trash.
I had a question. Now, do you think it's essential to customize your resume for every different interview you go to?
If you're interviewing with multiple industries, you want to tailor your resume towards that market. Customize it to the needs of the job that you're interviewing for. Anybody who thinks a resume has to be fancy is just, they're putting too much weight on that. They're not going to hire the resume. They're going to hire you. The resume is going to get you through the door. What's important, though, is that your telephone number, your email address, they have to be accurate. If they're trying to reach out to you and everything is wrong, they're never going to get a hold of you. Make sure your dates are right. When the interviewer starts asking you to walk them through your experience, you want to make sure the dates are correct. What's important for everybody to know is, depending on the interview and how well it goes, there are times when you're going to meet with multiple interviewers. So make sure you bring at least 3-4 resumes with you. You never know who you're going to meet. When we talk about making sure that your telephone number is correct and that your email address is correct, one thing that's very important, you're now on the interview trail. If somebody is going to call you, you want to make sure that your telephone message machine is professional, short, and to the point. If you're in college, you don't want to have some rock and roll music blaring and screaming and call me after the party, I want to rock, all right? So be professional. My name is Jacob Cantor. Sorry I missed you. And I'll call you back at my earliest convenience. Short, sweet, but professional. Take off the crazy messages, because now it's going to be a reflection on you when people do call.
When you create your resume, remember, make sure the dates are correct. Your telephone number and email address are correct. Everything is spelled correctly. Use clean, good quality paper. Print out multiple copies and bring them with you. Make sure there's a professional sounding message on your answering machine and cell phone. Looking for a job. Once you have a resume, you'll need to start looking for a job.
Now that you've created and made your resume, who are you going to send it to? Okay, so now it's going to come down to finding that job. How are you going to do that? You're going to network amongst friends and family. You're going to look through the newspaper. You're going to go online. You're going to call a recruiter if it's appropriate. And most importantly, you're going to call. You're going to pick up the phone. You're going to identify companies that you're excited about. Whether or not they have an opening or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to pick up the phone and you're going to introduce yourself. And you're going to send your resume in. They may not have anything open right now. However, when the time comes, they're going to know who you are. And you're going to beat everybody else to the punch when the time comes. But that's how you're going to create the majority of your leads, by taking the initiative to go after it yourself. When you send your resume in to a company, it's important that prior to sending it in, you know who you're addressing, who you're sending it to. That way, you give it a few days to get there, but once they have it, now it's your time to pick up the phone and follow up and introduce yourself. My name's Alan Ladd. I sent my resume in for this specific job. I'm just confirming that my resume did arrive and that I am extremely excited about your company, your organization, and I think I bring X, Y, and Z to the table, and I would love 10 minutes of your time just to sit down and interview for this position. But it's important that you know who you're sending your resume in versus sending it blindly. And sometimes you won't know. So you've got to be smart. You've got to pick up the phone and call human resource, find out who the Western Regional Sales Manager is, who the branch manager is. You have to find a way to find out who you're sending your resume to so that you can follow up with that individual. David, we were talking about leaving a voicemail once you've sent your resume in, and you said you had a question.
I understand the value of knowing the person's name and his identity or hers so you can get back to him. However, when I call to get that information from another source, I feel nervous, as if, what right do I have to be poking around in your business, getting the big guy so I can get his name and pitch him? It's just awful.
First and foremost, that mentality you have to get rid of. Okay? This is your career. Okay? You have to take the initiative. And it's okay, because the manager, as nervous as you are, he's probably going to want somebody that's not afraid to take the initiative, to take control, to go after it. It shows that you're not reluctant, you're not nervous, you're not scared. This is important. This is your life. Know your strengths. We're going to get into shortly knowing your strengths and knowing how to communicate it. Once you know how strong you are, you're not going to be nervous anymore. Once you know what the needs to this job are, you're going to be able to take those strengths that you have and communicate them. And you're going to leave a powerful message. You're going to feel proud of the message that you're leaving. And he's going to hear it. If he doesn't call you back, that's his loss. But that's okay. You're taking the initiative. You're taking control. And they're going to like that. And we'll teach you how to do that. I promise you. Don't be nervous anymore. Okay? You're looking for a job. Don't be scared. And you're not intruding on his time. He'd be lucky to have you. He just doesn't know it yet.
Thank you.
So my question is, what kind of message do you leave for these interviewers?
Who are you? What are your strengths? Why are you calling him? Mm-hmm. What message do you want him to know? That you're talented, that you're ambitious, that you've got a fire in your stomach for this business, for this job, and all what you're asking for is 10 minutes of his time. Mm. I'd really appreciate if you just give me a few minutes just to tell you about myself and sell myself. You know, I don't think a telephone interview does anybody justice. Mm. I just want to meet you face to face.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
Make sure you leave your telephone number. Yeah. Let them know they can call anytime they want. And when they do call, you have to be prepared. You can't wing it. You have to know what you want to say, because Again, we're talking about leaving a message.
Yeah.
What happens if 10 seconds in, he picks up? And it happens. And I've done that. I've left messages on Sundays. I leave a strong message and suddenly, hello? Well, you better know what you want to say, because now you've got his attention and you've got one chance to make a great impression. And it's at that moment, and you better be ready. And if you're not, and you're not prepared, don't call. I want to talk about the online agencies. If you go back 6, 7 years, it was unique. It was the hot thing on the market. People would send their resumes in. Okay? What's happened now is it's become oversaturated. Too many people are sending in their resumes. They have a database of so many resumes that when the average interviewer goes there, in the old days, he might see 100 to 1,000 resumes. Suddenly he's got 70,000 resumes. Nobody has the time to go through that. Human resource and the managers, the manpower to go through all these resumes, it would cost more in time and energy than it's worth. So again, you can send your resume in, but you don't have anybody to follow up with. You're just sending it in blindly, and it'll be stored on a database, and if you're lucky enough for somebody to go through it, then you might get lucky. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just being a realist and letting you know that there's a very good chance you're not going to get a call because nobody's going to find you. I can't tell you how many times somebody is in the pharmaceutical industry, for example, and they want to change companies. So they'll go to an online service and they'll read a pharmaceutical position is available. And what they'll do is they'll send their resume in. Well, as it turns out, they've sent their resume to their own company. Manager calls them into the office and says, are you unhappy here? He says, no. Well, it's funny because I put an ad on an online site and you submitted your resume. It's right here. My point is, be careful who you're sending your resume to, because it's going to hurt you if you don't know everywhere that you're sending your resume. And if you tell somebody, I'm not on the market, and suddenly people find that your resume is all over town, well, then you've just been caught in a lie, and nobody wants to hire somebody who lies.
Once you have your resume, you'll need to start your job search. Don't overlook the obvious, like networking amongst friends and family and help wanted ads in the local papers. Most company websites list career opportunities. It may be worth checking out. We talked about the trouble with online recruiters, so proceed with caution. Recruiters may be an option. If you see a help wanted sign, just walk in and ask about the job, but be ready to sell yourself. We'll be talking more about that a little later. Don't hesitate to walk into any company you'd like to work for and ask about employment opportunities. Make sure you look nice. The most important thing is to pick up the phone and call. Identify the companies that you're excited about. Call and introduce yourself. Tell them that you'd like to submit your resume. This is the best way to create leads. Take the initiative to go after the jobs you want. Learning to identify your strengths. You're much more qualified than you think you are.
I'm very passionate about this because I believe strongly in this next part of the Interview the Best process. In today's world, there is so much multitasking going on. Text messaging, computers, telephones, on and on and on, that people are finding themselves not being able to communicate anymore. Everybody has a one-word answer. Interview the Best is going to teach you why that's wrong, why you have to be a well-thought-out person. You have to be a quality person, you have to have quality responses, and you have to show them that you have character. And I love to use the example of somebody early on in life or currently that's working at a hamburger restaurant. And when you ask the average person, what did you do at McDonald's or Burger King or any of these fast food restaurants, and they'll come back to you and say, I flip burgers. And they're in an interview. What did you do? I flipped burgers. That is possibly the worst answer you could ever give, because the workplace and the experience you've gathered is so much more, and everybody's losing what they accomplished in that job. It was the first time in their lives that they ever worked with the public. It was the first time that they'd ever worked as a team. They worked under adverse situations, people screaming. They were trained for the first time. If you're in sales, it was the first time that they'd ever have to upsell. Do you want any fries with that burger? There are so many things that you learned in that job, and it's important that you understand that you communicate them in the interview. And again, if that was 15, 20 years ago, so what? When I first started, and that's part of your pitch in the interview, when I first started, I worked at a hamburger restaurant. And it was the greatest experience of my life. As a matter of fact, I still have friends today that I had back then. And it was an experience that I've taken with me all along. When I started at this fast food restaurant, I learned this. And then I went to my next job, and I learned this. And to where I'm at today. I'm nowhere near the person today than I was when I started in that fast food restaurant. But I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the experience that I gathered in that moment. And I'm grateful for everything that they taught me. Again, you're painting a picture of who you are. And you were taught at a young age how to be responsible, how to show up on time, how to make food, how to deal with the public. Again, same thing. You're working in a retail store. Same thing. Dealt with the public, worked with the registers, was given responsibility at an early age. I had to be responsible. People counted on me to be there on time. That's how you sell the job that you're working at. No matter how insignificant that you might think it is, it's not. It's helped make you the person that you are, and be proud of it. If you had to do it all over again, I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. It was great. It was wonderful. I loved it. The interviewer is going to see the passion in you, how strong and how confident you are in doing what you might have thought before was a menial job. It wasn't. Remember that. Again, not one-word answers, but paint a picture of what you experienced and how you grew as a person. Yvette, what are you currently doing right now, and what have you learned in the job that you're currently in?
I'm actual receptionist, and
Yeah.
what I've learned is to be a little more outspoken. I have to greet the clients that we get there, so I'm very talkative.
Think about what you do on a daily basis. Do you answer the phones?
Yeah.
Do you greet people that come walking through the door?
Yes.
Do you make them feel comfortable
Yes.
when they come through the door? That's your job. Do you ever give people directions on how to get to the facility? Yes. Have you ever spoken to irate customers who call screaming?
Oh, yeah.
Again, you need to think about what you experience every day. So when you go home, you sit down and say, okay, I'm good at putting out fires. I'm good at making people feel comfortable. I have good communication skills on the phone. I'm very personable. I'm very likable. I work as a team in an office of people. I'm responsible. I need to be there on time, because if I'm not, the phone's just going to keep ringing. Think of all the things you do on a daily basis and be proud of them. If you're not prepared, you're gonna flounder, and you're gonna have a difficult time communicating because you haven't thought about it. It's not that you haven't done it. You have. You do it every day, and you do it better than anybody out there. You just have to know how to communicate it. I know that your goal is to become a teacher. we're going to take a lot of the skills that you showed in your current job and possible jobs before that, and we're going to use every one of those strengths in your next interview to become a teacher. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. You're going to paint this incredible picture that any school would be crazy not to hire you.
Think about all you've done and what you've learned from these experiences. Most jobs teach you these basic but very important skills. Showing up on time. Working as a member of the team. Training. Taking direction. Accountability. How to interact with the public. Everyone has experiences that are relevant to the job you're interviewing for. Think about what they are. Create your own list. Be proud of who you are and what you have accomplished. Remember the burger flipping example? You've done much more than just flip burgers. The interview. Most people don't have any idea how to interview, so pay careful attention, because it doesn't matter how overqualified or underqualified you are. The person who interviews the best will always get the job.
The interview process is run in 5 phases: preparation, introduction, question and answer period, the close, and the follow-up. Preparation. If you're not prepared, stay home. It's that simple, because you're just going to embarrass yourself, and if you think that you're going to go in there and wing it and hit all the points, you're sadly mistaken. Because there are some of you that are very confident and think that you can. But remember this, there's going to be possibly anywhere from 10 to 15 people interviewing for the same job. And whoever is the best prepared, and whoever can communicate the best, and whoever can take it through the process the best is going to get the job. So you have to be prepared. When we talk about being prepared, we're not just talking about yourself knowing what your strengths are and what you're going to bring to the table, but you have to research the company. And I can't tell you how many times a manager has come to me and said, you know, everybody goes online, everybody researches on Google and Yahoo and all these other sites, okay? But we want to take you a step further. If they sell a product that's sold in the retail world, go into the retailer. If it's not that expensive, buy the product, use the product, get a feel for the product. If you're going to be going into the medical world, go in and see the doctor. Go talk to a nurse. Go talk to the administration person in front. Gather as much information as possible. The more homework you do, the more you know about who and what you're interviewing for, you're going to score more points. And again, we're trying to separate you from everybody else that's interviewing for the same job. Dave, we were talking about being prepared, and I want to talk about the last interview that you went on.
I filled out an application for Fry's. I didn't actually interview.
You didn't interview?
They never call me back.
Okay. Question I have for you, prior to submitting the resume, had you done any research on the company?
I already knew something about the merchandise, and I did talk to the lady who's the hiring manager,
right.
And I expressed natural excitement because, you know, I got my A+, I built computers from the floor up, I know troubleshooting, I know about the post and everything, and she says, I'll get this right to the hiring manager in that department and he'll be with you soon, and he never called.
Okay. And you got the name of that person?
No, sir, I did not.
The first thing you should have done was, when she says, I'm going to get your resume to the name of the person, you need to find out who that person is. And then you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to call that person. And you're going to say, I came into your store, I filled out an application. Let me tell you why I think I'm the best person for this job. You're going to leave him a strong voicemail, and you're going to ask him for 10 minutes of his time. I don't think a telephone interview does anybody justice. A telephone message. I'd like to come in and see if I can turn 10 minutes into 30 minutes. Leave a strong message, and you follow up with them the next day. You let them know in the first message, I forgot to say, that you met with somebody in that office. You want to use that name. However, I am quite aware that you're the person that I need to interview with if I want to work for Fry's, and I do. And let me tell you what some of my qualifications are, and you list a couple of them. And again, we end it by saying, the telephone conversation isn't going to do anybody justice. I would love 10 minutes of your time. That's all I'm asking. Can I come in and shake hands? So, you're finding out the name of the person, and you're leaving them a strong message. But before you do that, you need to think about what you want to leave on the message. What strengths do you want to communicate that are going to apply, that are relevant to the job that you're going to be doing? Think about what you want to say before you pick up the phone and leave a strong message. You need to think about what the job requires. If they need you to work well with the public, if they need you to be a problem solver, if they need you to manage people, whatever the job entails. I want to talk about the day of the interview itself. I want to make it extremely clear. On that specific day, you need to be nice to everybody. Everybody you meet on that day, you want to be nice to. I'm going to tell you why. You never know who the person that you bump into might be. And I'm going to give you an example, a story. This is a true story. I had a young man that was interviewing for a hospital administration position. The day of the interview, he went walking down the hospital walkway, and there was a gentleman that was walking out, and he had oil on his hands, on his elbows. He had holy jeans. He was carrying these papers, and they bumped into each other. And my candidate said, "Why don't you watch where you're going, jerk?" Something of those words. It wasn't real mean, but it wasn't nice. The young man continued on, and he went and interviewed. And he did fantastic. He listened to Interview the Best, and he did real well. He then went on the next day to a second interview, and that went well. They scheduled his Friday final interview, and he went walking in to the president of the hospital's office. He didn't recognize the man, but it was the man that he bumped into. And that president of that hospital looked at my candidate and said, "Let me tell you why you're not going to get this job." And it was as simple as that. And he explained that everybody in a hospital environment has to be nice to people. You've got to be respectful to everybody you meet. And you weren't with me. So, the point that I'm making is you never know. 1,000 times it's happened. I can't tell you how many receptionists are actually the decision makers in a lot of offices. Managers, at the end of an interview, will go to the receptionist and say, "Margaret, John, whoever's there, what did you think of the person that just walked out?" That guy was rude. He was arrogant. I wouldn't want him working here for anything. You're out. I don't care how good your interview went. If he comes out, the interviewer comes out and says, "What'd you think of the candidate just left?" "Oh my God, she's wonderful. She's so charming, she's so polite, she is going to fit in with this team better than anybody I've seen come through here." There's a very good chance you're going to get the job because you were nice to that receptionist. Be nice to everybody. It's not that hard. It's nice to be nice, and it's nice to be around nice people. I want you to lay out the clothes that you're going to wear the night before. I don't want you frantically trying to determine what you're going to wear on the day. Think about what you're going to wear. Think about what's appropriate for the job you're interviewing for. If you're in the corporate world, you're going to want to wear a suit. If you're interviewing for a mechanic position, a plumber position, you're going into creative services, wherever you're going to go, you may not have to dress up in a power suit, but you still want to look nice. You want to wear a pair of slacks. You want to wear a jacket. You want to be presentable. The last thing you want to hear is, if this guy was dressing to impress, I'd hate to see him on a bad day. Okay? Take pride in who you are. You want to make sure that you have directions. You want to make sure you know where you're going. And don't count on GPS.
Sorry.
If the location is a new location, it's not going to be on there. And then you're going to be late. And then you're going to be frazzled. And you're going to be trying to overcome that obstacle before the interview even starts. And I don't want you to be stressed. I want you to be feeling good. I want you to get there 15, 20 minutes early, have a bottled water, have a cup of coffee. I want you to be relaxed.
I had a question. Do you think being late gives a disadvantage to the person interviewing?
Absolutely. You are being gauged on who you are, and by example. You only have one chance to make a great impression, okay? By you showing up late, it shows that this guy is irresponsible. I can't count on him. Is he going to be late if I was to hire him for this job? Again, there could be a million reasons why, but he doesn't know what it is yet. You're showing up late. He's looking at his watch every 5 minutes. You're nowhere to be found. He doesn't even know if you're going to show up unless you've called, which we'll discuss in a minute. But the point is, if you don't call and you're running late, he doesn't know. And he is making a decision on who you are and what your personality is long before he met you. And it's a negative one, because you're not punctual, you're not responsible, and you're late. And are you going to do the same thing if I hire him? Can I count on him? When he says he's going to be someplace, if he's supposed to see one of my customers, if he was supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time, is he the type of person that will be there on time? Now, chances are you are, but he can only go by this one specific instant, and it's the first meeting that he's ever had with you. So yes, being on time sometimes is the difference between getting a job and not.
Now, do you think that stigma can be overcome?
Absolutely. And again, and it's the way you position yourself and sell yourself. I'm late because of this reason. However, I'm never late. And if you talk to anybody that I have a relationship with, they'll tell you I'm always 10 minutes early. I'm known as the early guy, all right? So I'm really embarrassed, but I'm going to make up for it because I'm going to give you a great interview. And I'm going to tell you why I'm excited to be here, and forgive me, and let's start fresh, and this won't happen again. So you're doing your best to convey that this is not who you are. But why put yourself in that situation? You know that the traffic could be bad. Leave early. Plan for inevitably anything that can go wrong will go wrong, because that's what happens. Plan ahead. Think ahead. The night before is helpful. Get the telephone number of who you're meeting with. Get the person's name. If there's an issue, pick up the phone. Be very apologetic. Be real. Be you. Explain what the situation is. Explain that you left an hour early. It's uncontrollable. So it takes some of the burden off you. All right? Let's hope we don't get there and you leave earlier and you don't have that issue. It was brought to my attention, somebody said once that an interviewer will make a decision in the first 15 seconds if he wants to hire somebody. And I started thinking about it, and I completely agreed with that person. And the answer is yes. When a manager is anticipating coming out his door of his office or her office, and they see the candidate that they're about to interview for the first time, image is very important. If somebody has an incredible image, the job is basically theirs to lose. But that is my response to everybody. It is their job to lose. And in the next 30 minutes, that incredible candidate is going to go from top dog to bottom of the pile. If the handshake is bad, if they're wearing too much cologne, if they're negative about their past employer, if they don't close, if they don't follow up. We're going to go through all these processes, but my point is, all these steps of the interview, that top person with that great image can lose it that quickly. I want to give an example. There was a television show, and it might still be on, where people are competing to get a job for a big real estate mogul. And there was a gal, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. She had the perfect image. She went to Harvard. She got her MBA from Wharton Business School. And she was the leader in this competition for this job. She went in for the interview. She gave possibly the worst interview in the history of interviews. And the decision maker made it very clear and told her, you were the leading candidate when you came in. You are absolutely, unequivocally fired. When she left that conference room, they sat across from each other, all the decision makers, and said, you know, it's very sad that somebody that's that good lacks the ability to interview. And she did. My point is, I don't care how good you look on paper. I don't care how good you look. It doesn't mean you're going to get the job. Again, back to the message. It doesn't matter if you're overqualified or underqualified. The person that interviews the best will always get the job. We can't all look like George Clooney. We can't all look like Julia Roberts. But that just means that we have to work a little bit harder. We've got to go a little bit further. We've got to be smarter. We have to be more creative. We have to do things a lot bigger. Keep that in mind. So just because somebody looks great and they make that great first impression, it's their job to lose. And in 90% of the time, they lose because they're not prepared, because they've never been taught, just like you guys are going to be taught. They think they're good. You just don't walk in and get it. You have to earn it. And that's what Interview the Best is going to do. It's going to teach you so that you can earn it. First impressions, the handshake. I've talked to so many managers. It's a silly little thing, but it can affect the way somebody looks at you. Think about the way you shake hands. The reason I say that is, even I get a little uncomfortable when I shake somebody's hands and they squeeze my fingers. Okay? When you have a handshake, put your hand in there and shake their hand. Don't overcompensate by trying to break their hand, okay? It happens. Again, this is a first impression. This is the first time you've come in contact with this person you're interviewing with. Make it a strong handshake, a professional handshake. Keep good eye contact. Be energized, be enthusiastic, be happy to be there. This person is giving you an opportunity that a lot of people haven't been given. You should be thrilled to death that they're taking time out of their busy schedule to sit down and meet with you. But guess what? They're lucky. They get to meet you. You're going to change their world. You're going to bring something to them that they need. Handshake, eye contact, great energy, enthusiasm. When you sit down across from this person, don't lean back, cross your legs, sit at the edge of your seat. Be attentive. When you hand over your resume, don't throw the resume on the person's desk. Be proud of what's on that piece of paper and what it represents. It represents you. This is your blueprint. When you hand that resume to the manager, I want you to be very proud of who you are and happy to give him this resume. When going for an interview, more than likely you want to be in a business attire depending on the job that you're interviewing for. And always remember what we discussed before. If you're dressing to impress, I'd hate to see you on a bad day. So take pride in what you're wearing and in your appearance. And when we talk about appearance, we want you to be conservative. You don't need to be flashy. You want to be light on the makeup. Don't overdo it with cologne or perfume. You don't want to blow this person away where they can't even sit next to you because the smell is overbearing. And it's happened. I've heard every single one of them before. We're going to try to avoid those same mistakes. Make sure your hair is neat. Make sure if you need a haircut, get one prior to the interview. And if you have a lot of hair, make sure you pull it back so that they can see your face. If you are one of these people that likes to wear a lot of jewelry, tone it down. If you wear an earring, if you're a male, take them off for the interview. Again, you don't want that to take away from what's here and what's in here. Don't wear things that are going to take the focus away from who you are. We know how expensive clothes can be. And you can find yourself a professional wardrobe at a lot of retailers that dress for less. Okay? You can find something that's conservative that looks nice. We're not trying to tell you to break your bank when you're trying to find clothes. So again, be conservative, look nice, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's important that you understand what's going through the minds of the manager. They have their bonuses predicated upon your success. They have a team that you have to fit in with. If they make a bad hire and everybody on that successful team doesn't like you, you alone could cause a mutiny on their team. You could affect the productivity of this entire department because you were a bad hire. And I can't tell you how much managers love to hire somebody that is a fantastic hire, and people within the company say, "Who hired that person?" There's a lot of pride involved when hiring people that are very successful. And it's a reflection on their people skills and their interviewing skills. And if you are a success and you do well, it's going to increase their opportunity for advancement within the company. So think about that when you interview with the manager and know how important of a hire you are and how you can change lives of many people.
The interview runs in 5 phases: preparation, introduction, questions and answers, the close, the follow-up. Preparation. The first part of being prepared is knowing your strengths and how those strengths are relevant to the job you're interviewing for. Research the company. Remember, go the extra mile and learn all you can firsthand about the company or their products. Introduction. First impressions can make or break the interview. Dress appropriately. You can never go wrong with business attire. Lay out your wardrobe the night before. Don't overdo the makeup or perfume. Make sure you have directions to the interview and get there early. Be nice to everyone you meet on the day of the interview, especially the receptionist. Turn your cell phone off. Have a firm handshake and keep good eye contact. Have good energy and enthusiasm. Sit, don't slump. Make sure you know how to pronounce the interviewer's name. Use their last name, Mr., Ms., until told, "Please call me Bob or Sue." Questions and answers. Know your strengths, and you will be able to answer any question. Know what's important to you, and you will be able to ask smart questions.
We were talking about Interview the Best, how we're going to teach you to identify your strengths and communicate who you are. And what I really want to talk to everybody about is the difference between Interview the Best and reading a book on how to interview. Reading a book that has 700 questions that might come up in the interview is almost kind of silly when you think that the average interview lasts about 30 minutes. How many questions do you think they're going to ask in 30 minutes? If you get 8 questions out of an interview, you'll be lucky. And you need to take advantage of that. And what I'm going to teach you is how to find your own answers. Not what you're going to get out of a book, but who you are and what you've experienced in life. And you're going to have your own original answers. Not what you're going to get out of a book, but what you've already experienced. Lisa, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've always been in sales. I am very professional and detail-oriented. I'm queen of follow-up. I think it's very important to follow up on everything that you're doing in sales, especially.
You've told me a couple of strengths about yourself.
Yes.
But I don't know anything about you. And I really didn't hear anything. You told me about your strengths. I'd like to know where you come from. Where did you go to school? Where did you grow up? What kind of training have you received? Why are you here? What excites you? I want to know who Lisa is. I need you to paint me this picture of exactly who you are. It's my first time meeting you. I don't know who you are. The fact that you're organized and that you've been in sales and that's what you do, that's great, but I want to know who Lisa is. I want to know, do I want to work with this person? Do I want to train this person for a week and spend quality time with this individual? So I want to know a little bit about you. Who are you? Jacob, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Jacob. I moved here from Russia when I was 4 with my mom, my dad, and my brother. And right when we moved here, my brother went straight to college, so I was pretty much an only child. So I had a lot of responsibilities. I started working when I was about 15. And I played sports all my life. And I honestly thank my parents for getting me into sports, taught me teamwork and how to be a team player. And I went to college. I graduated college, thankfully. And that's a little about myself.
Jacob, where you started was good, but you went too far. You were rambling about things that the communication skills weren't there. Okay. I would go where you were going, but I would shorten it up. I came here when I was 4 years old from Russia. My brother went to college here. I went to college here. I've been into sports my whole life. I got my degree. That's part of the story. Now find something else to talk about. I knew I wanted to get into sales from the very beginning. The way I knew that I wanted to get into sales is because of this, and this. So you started off telling me about your personal life and who you are and what you had, but you rambled on about certain things that were not concise. Just condense it. Where you come from, who you are, what you've accomplished, and why are you excited to be here? Yvette, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm 22. I was born in Zacatecas, Mexico. I was brought when I was really young. I'm going to college. My mom is handicapped or half handicapped, so I have to do certain things at home for her. So that's why school, work, and family is basically all my life right now.
Yvette, you did a great job of painting a picture for me, but you brought something up in your introduction that has put a red flag up for me before the interview even gets started, okay? And it's something that is probably the most important thing in your life. So you have to figure out how you want to communicate that. You brought up your mom. You brought up the fact that your mom has an illness, an ailment. Is that going to affect your job or your abilities to do the job? I, as an employer, do I have to worry that you're going to come to work tomorrow if something happens? I bring that up because if you start off with that in your introduction, you've hurt yourself for the remainder of the interview because the interviewer is only thinking about that. And they may cut the interview short until they know you. But once they know you and know what a quality person you are and how much passion and character that you have, the concern about taking care of your mom is gone because they know your work ethic. They know how reliable you are. But we haven't got there yet. They don't know anything about you. They just heard your introduction and you put up a major red flag for them. As we progress in the interview process, your mom is going to become an asset. It's going to paint a picture of who you are and why they're going to want you as part of their team. Because as wonderful as you are and responsible as you are for your mom, you're going to be the same way with your coworkers. You're going to be the same way in your everyday life. And you're going to be reliable, and they're going to count on you. So you're going to use all the experience and everything that you've learned from taking care of your mom, and you're going to apply it to the job that you're interviewing for. Because guess what? I don't think there's many people that have had more adversity than you have. And guess what? You've come through with flying colors. You're a superstar. Dave, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I recently located to Los Angeles, maybe 6 months ago. I have worked in a sales support, customer service background for the last 6 years since my graduation from the University of Oregon, the degree in public relations. I'm very interested in marrying my educational training with my professional experience to this point in finding a role in public relations within the athletic footwear or apparel industry.
Your presentation of who you are was almost canned, almost forced, okay? We're trying to get you to be more relaxed. If you were proud of what you accomplished, we'd never know that from your presentation. No. You need to be. You need to be. The fact that you graduated from the University of Oregon, or the fact that you graduated is fantastic. The fact that you took the initiative and you were fearless to relocate to Los Angeles, okay, says something about you. It means you're not afraid to take a chance and make things happen. That's part of your personality, who you are, okay? You got your degree, you took a chance to move out to Los Angeles, you were selling a specific product. Talk about that product. Was the product good? Was it a great product? Be proud of what you accomplished. The people that you were calling on, the accounts, were they wonderful accounts? Think of the ones that you really liked. You have to paint a picture in your mind of who you are and what you've accomplished. When you say, tell me a little bit about yourself, talk about the things that you're proud of. And they're there. You just have to look at them, find them, and energize yourself. Be enthusiastic. Be excited to be there. Be excited that this person wants to know a little bit about you. I want to know. Tell me. You should be excited to be able to tell that person who you are and why you're here. That's all. With you, I just want to get you some more energy. Energy and enthusiasm and confidence. Okay? I'm this and I'm that. No, I'm this person. I came to Los Angeles. I'm ready to go. I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate you taking the time to see me today. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Bring on more questions versus being defensive in your answers. That's all. I just want you to turn it on. Mm-hmm. Jamie, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a California girl. I grew up in Orange County, and then I went to college at UCLA, so I didn't move very far. After that, after I gained my degree, I worked for a couple years in the consulting world, and it was great. It was a great experience because I learned about business, about working with people, about getting to places on time, and stuff like that. But now I want a career change. I love kids, and I love math, so I'm applying for the tutoring job to teach kids algebra, calculus.
When you first started, you almost attacked me, okay? But that's okay. That's okay. But when you ended it, and you softened up and you said, I love kids. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what else you said. You love something else, music or something else. You love math. Okay, kids, you love kids and you love math. And you struck a nerve right there. Yeah. Because that's something that you really believe in. Mm-hmm. Versus the other stuff. I went to UCLA and I did consulting and you were just throwing it off like it was nothing. Yeah. But as soon as you started talking about children and math, you were a different person. Okay. So why were you a different person? Think about that. Is it because you love math and you love children? Okay. I want you to love the fact that you graduated from UCLA.
I do.
Ah, I didn't get that. Okay. What did you major in?
I majored in electrical engineering.
Okay. And you think that everybody under the sun can graduate with an electrical engineering degree from UCLA?
No.
No, of course not. That's my point. That's something you should be very proud of.
Yeah.
That's something that you should scream from the top of the roof and say, I went to the greatest school in the world. I went to UCLA. I'm a Bruin. Okay? And I got my degree in electrical engineering.
Yeah.
I love children.
Yeah.
I love math. I love people. I'm going to be very good at tutoring people because I have a passion for it. Now I know a lot more about Jamie.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, think about your passions, think about who you are, think about your experience and what you love about them, and that's how you're going to introduce yourself to people that you're interviewing with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dave, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for your interest and thanks for the question. I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, to a very loving family, and some of my earliest interests were in science. I loved microscopy and telescopy and chemistry. I had a chemistry set when I was 8. So when I was in my 20s, I joined the U.S. Air Force, and I got into and I went to Colorado for a year for training, excellent training, very exhaustive, electronics funding, and then followed up with the particulars of microwaving, broadcasting.
All right, I'm going to have to cut you off here, okay? Because you lost me at the Air Force, okay?
But understand, if you had been an Air Force person or DOD person, I wouldn't.
But if I'm not, then you just lost me. Okay. And again, I'm not being negative. It's just that you're telling me a story that I can go have a drink with you after this interview because our interview's up already. Okay. My point that I want you to make is I went to the Air Force. I was in the Air Force. I went to work for some place else. Condense everything. Okay. You're not describing a book here. I just want to know who you are. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Make it no more, now this is your homework assignment, not more than 1 minute. If you can tell me who you are in 45 seconds, and I know who you are, and I like you, that's a great start. Now we're going to move on to the next thing. Too much words. Too much. I didn't even hear half of it because I'm thinking about the next steps and the next questions that are coming up. And if you're going to answer every other question the same way that you responded to that, this interview is going to last 5 hours. You've got 30 minutes. And I want a Reader's Digest painted picture of, and we'll work on it.
In that case, I have no idea what to tell you.
Not a problem. And that's what we're going to work on. And I promise you, you're going to be able to break down who you are, where you come from, and why you're here. One thing that none of you did was give me your full names. And I'm going to explain why that's important. An interviewer is going to feel a little uncomfortable if he doesn't know what your last name is or how to pronounce it. So it's important that you take the time to say, my name is Mike Kraszewski. Whatever your last name, pronounce it for them so they know exactly what your last name is, so they don't butcher it. When you're meeting the interviewer for the first time, it's important that you've prepared ahead of time and you have the exact pronunciation and spelling of the person's name. And when you address that person, you call him Mr. Ladd, Mr. Jones, Mr. Smith. It's a pleasure to meet you. At that point, 99% of the time, the interviewer is going to say, call me Dave, call me John. But you showed the respect to call him Mr. or Miss. The interview will start with the why questions. That's why you need to be prepared. You need to know why you've made certain decisions in your life. And usually the first question that comes up is your education. Why did you go to the school that you went to? So Dave, I'm going to ask you this question. why did you go to the school that you went to?
I went to the school that I went to because they have one of the top tier journalism schools in the country, and that was my planned major, and that's why I went there.
Jamie, why did you choose the school that you went to?
To be honest, I didn't have that much direction as to exactly what major I was going to do. So it was kind of location based. It's far enough from my parents where I can go home some weekends, but I don't have to see them all the time. And plus, it's just a beautiful campus and a beautiful environment.
Dave, why did you go to the school that you went to?
I've always had a direction for my career that was tied to the work. Electronics, then management, then supervision, etc. So my schools pretty much followed my career path.
Lisa, why did you go to the school that you went to?
Well, at the time, I had chosen to remain close to home. I had gotten an AAS degree. My mom was very sick. She had Alzheimer's, and it was at a time when no one knew what Alzheimer's was. So things were a little...
So you want to be close to home?
Yes, I had to. It was very difficult, so I had chosen that, and then I had gone on to the design school in New York.
Since I was from the area, I chose to go to Cal State Northridge. It was only a block down, so I saw myself being able to go to school and not owe the government or whoever I was taking out a loan with $50,000. So it was very cost effective, and at the same time it gave me responsibility to move out on my own and still gain knowledge and be an adult.
Yvette, why did you go to the school that you went to?
Because it's close from home.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it, because it was
That's
close
it.
enough to home.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everyone had their reasons. If you take the information that we're teaching you in Interview the Best, I want you to go back to the flipping the burgers comment. Okay? It's not just flipping burgers. I didn't go to the school just because I went there. I didn't finish school just because I didn't finish. Those aren't the answers. You need to paint a picture again. Here we go. We're going to paint a picture why you chose to go to the school that you went to. I could have gone to multiple schools. I could have gone to a junior college. I could have gone to San Diego State. I could have gone to the University of Texas. The reason I chose to go to the University of Texas was because of my college advisor. I took a tour of the department that I was going to major in, and the electrical engineering department I thought was the finest in the country. The classrooms, I went to other schools to research, and there were 500 students in a class. But in the school that I chose, there were only 20, 25. I thought I was going to get a better education. It was close enough to home. It was far enough from home. There are many reasons that you went to the school that you went to. And you need to think about those. And again, you got to paint this picture that even at a young age, at 18 years old, you took the time to research and compare it to other schools. And you made a smart, intelligent decision on why you chose that school. That's character. That's a quality answer. That's a well thought out response. And that's what I need to pull out of you. And the only way you're going to get that is if you prepare. You go home, you sit down, and you break down, why did I go to the school that I went to? Lisa didn't finish her degree. Yet Lisa had a situation just like Yvette. She had hardship at home. She was forced to make a decision, continue my education or take care of my family. Let me ask you this, Lisa. Are you computer literate?
Yes.
What are your computer skills?
I work on ACT database, Outlook, the Excel, PowerPoints, do presentations.
Okay. You've been in sales. You've been in sales. Have you ever sold a technical product?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a quick learner, a quick study? Do you retain information readily?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. That's my point. She's computer literate. She's sold a technical product. She's been able to learn, retain, and communicate technical information. So she lacks a degree. So what? Our economy is falling apart. Millions of people don't have a degree. And millions more are not going to get their degrees or ever have a chance to go to school. So what do? They don't go interview for a job? No, they've got skills. You know, in the old days, getting a degree meant one thing, that you can complete something, that you can start something and you can complete it. It didn't matter what you learned. It just showed that you had the ability to start something and finish it. Well, the world's changing. Sometimes you can't go to school. Sometimes you can't afford that. And if you can't, you're going to have to come up with strengths and experience that are going to overcome that. Lisa has it. She just has to understand how to communicate that and be proud of every decision she made. She showed a lot of responsibility. She showed a lot of compassion. She took care of her family. Family came first. I like that in a person. Why are you here? What are you looking for? When an interviewer asks you that question, he's asking you to describe the perfect job. That's what that means. Why are you here? What are you looking for? It's your time to shine. It's your turn to tell that interviewer exactly what you're looking for and why you're there. So Dave, pick a job that you're interested in. Just think about it for a second. Why are you here? What are you looking for? And I told you how to position yourself. You're describing the perfect job. Why are you here?
Well, my education and my experience has pointed to a position of the sort that you're offering, but also the possibility of growth in this and to be really productive is what I want. And your firm has obviously got a good name, and they are exactly where I want to be in terms of growth over the next few years.
Okay. Jamie, why are you here? What are you looking for?
I love tutoring, and I love seeing kids struggle with something and then understand it all of a sudden. They get that aha moment. They're like, oh my goodness, it's not that hard. And so it's really gratifying for me to help them through that process, just point out things that they might not have seen before. So I'm here to work with cool kids that need help, who may be struggling at this point, because I know I struggled too in school. I had to work really hard to get good grades. So that's why I'm here, just to help that process.
Dave, why are you here? What are you looking for?
I'm here because I honestly believe that I can successfully support your account team on a very high level, contribute my skill set to your business objectives, and begin a career in this field with your company.
Lisa, the perfect job. You're on that interview and he says, why are you here? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a home. I'm a team player. I'm wonderful at sales. I'm great working with people. I enjoy the sales process and going out and meeting people, and the follow-up and then the close.
Jacob, this is the perfect job you're interviewing for. Why are you here? What are you looking for?
To work in a team atmosphere where everyone's helping each other succeed to one goal.
Yvette, you've got a teaching job coming up. It's the perfect job for you. Why are you here? What are you looking for?
I want to make a difference in a child's life. I think the teacher is a big part of growing up, so I want to make a difference.
You've all had the opportunity, again, we're going off Interview the Best, when the question comes up, why are you here? What are you looking for? They're asking you to describe the perfect job for you. So I'll give you my response if I had to think of how I would respond. I'm looking for a company that's going to give me and my family security where they're not laying people off 6 months down the road. I want to work for a company that's striving to be the leader in their industry. I want to work in a job that I'm going to enjoy getting up every day and going to work. And I want to surround myself with incredibly talented people. I want to be compensated for my efforts, and I want to be rewarded when I'm successful. And I want to work for a manager that's going to give me creative freedom to let me do what I do best but give me support if I need it. And if this company can provide all those things for me, I think there's going to be a tremendous fit. I've laid out exactly what I want. That's why I'm here. I'm not going to leave my current job just for the sake of leaving. And if I've been unemployed, I'm not going to just take any job for the sake of getting a job, because I'll be back on the street in 2 months if I'm not happy. When the question comes up, why are you here? What are you looking for? The interviewer is asking you to describe the perfect job. What are you looking for? All right? You're going to give them a response of what you're looking for. But later on in the interview, other questions are going to come up where you're going to discuss why you want this job and why you're going to be the perfect candidate for this job. But right now, that question is just asking you why you're here, what are you looking for, and describe to me the perfect job. After the interviewer asks you about your education, the next question tends to be, why did you take your first job out of college? Or your first job in life? Why? So Dave, I'm going to ask you, think about your very first job. Why did you go to work for that company?
I went to work for the city of Fort Worth, the street department, because it was an excellent wage. That's exactly why I did. I was very young.
Okay.
I wanted money in my pocket.
Got it. Again, we're painting this picture of who you are and why you made a decision and the decisions that you're making. When you think about, you're 22 years old when you graduate from college, so you're still a young person and you have choices to make. My response would be, I had an interview with company A, B, C, and D. I got 2 offers, one from A and one from B. I chose to go to work for company B because of the manager, the camaraderie on the team, the training I was going to receive, the money was better. There was tremendous opportunity for advancement with this company. And I was excited about my territory, who I was going to be calling on, what I was getting up to go to work for on a daily basis was going to be exciting to me. And that's why I took that job. Again, you're painting a picture. Why? Why? Why?
I found myself in a better opportunity with a better company and more room to grow up and gain more experience.
Why? Oh, because I was offered a different job, different atmosphere from what I was working before with kids, so I wanted to try something new.
When we talk about why we've left certain situations, whether it's your first job or third job, doesn't matter. You always left for positive reasons, never anything negative. If you can't think of anything positive about your last position, think about some of your friends. Think about the people that work there. At the very least, you've got friendships that may have lasted a lifetime. But when you talk about why you left, it's important that you talk about the positives of the new company that you've gone to. I went there because of the product. It was incredible. I transitioned from one industry to another, and it was a new product that I was excited about. The manager was incredible. The team that I was going to be part of was possibly the finest team I'd ever seen. The money was going to be better. And I saw, compared to my last job, that this new industry or this new company was going to open up many more doors for me. So I was excited to go there. So start talking about the positives versus the negatives, and they're all negatives. There's a reason why you leave. But don't focus on that. Never be negative about anybody or the company. It was a great experience. The people were incredible. The training was fantastic. Again, back to the burger flipping. It gave me incredible experience that I'm bringing to you. Training. A lot of candidates like to go into the interview process, and when the question comes up about your training, Yes, they're proud of themselves, and they talk about self-training. I was self-taught, and they go on and on and on. There's nothing wrong with that. Being self-taught is wonderful. Companies, however, love people that their past employers have spent thousands and thousands of dollars training them. The way they look at it is, here's somebody that just went through a course that cost $25,000, and the other company paid for it. So if you have training and you've been to seminars, any training that you've received from past employers where they've had to dish out money to prepare you, you want to use that in the interview process, and you want to be proud of that training. You're going to score a lot of points because you're saving that new company a lot of money. Now we're going to talk about the heart and soul of Interview the Best. I'm going to ask everybody the same question, and I'm going to look for everybody's response. Jamie, what do you consider to be your greatest strengths?
I think my greatest strength is my positive attitude. A lot of people say that I liven them up, I give them energy, so I really like that. That's my greatest strength. I'll just say one for now.
Any more?
Yes, I'm very persistent. I work long hours if I have to because I really just want to get things done right, and that's how I was raised. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Dave, what do you consider your greatest strengths?
My greatest strengths, definitely conflict resolution, thriving in a team atmosphere, and I am extremely efficient.
Anything else?
That's it.
Think of more.
Whoa. I am an excellent communicator, both verbally and written. I'm very career driven, and that's all I have for you right now.
Okay. Yvette, tell me your greatest strengths.
I'm very friendly, talkative. I'm fluent in English and Spanish. I have computer skills. I think that's it.
You're probably wondering what I'm counting on my fingers. And I wasn't counting the amount of strengths that she had. I'm counting how many times she used the word is possibly the worst word you can use in an interview session. And it's because you're not prepared. You're not prepared to know what your strengths are. And that's what you've got to prepare at home for. I'm intelligent, I'm focused, I'm driven, I'm attentive to my clients' needs, I'm a great listener. But I like to add one more thing. If you were to talk to any of my past supervisors, they would tell you that I'm organized, I'm reliable. You only have to ask me to do something once, and it gets done. Now, again, we're painting a picture that you know who you are, and you haven't had to think about it. Because once you start thinking about it, and just imagine now, an interviewer has 10 interviews. Everybody's using everybody's thinking, and that one person comes in and says, I'm intelligent, I'm focused, I'm driven, I'm organized. And if you talk to any of my past supervisors, they'll tell you that I'm reliable and I'm the most organized person you've ever met. You're going to stand out because you haven't had to think about anything. When you rattle off all your strengths, it's important that you're prepared to give examples. If the manager says to you, all right, Alan, you just said that you're the most organized person and that your past managers have commented on it. Give me examples where you were organized. If you said you're flexible, give me examples that you were flexible. You had your date planner planned for the entire day. An emergency came up, you had to move the entire day. You showed flexibility. You showed that you could handle yourself in a pressure situation. It's just important that Yes, you know what your strengths are. You're not using the word You're taking control of the situation, yet you're not just throwing words out there. You've got information to back that up if you're ever called out. And you don't know if they're going to or not, but they may want you to elaborate. And if so, you have to be prepared. What I'd like everybody to do, now that they've heard the interview the best, what are your strengths? I'd like you just to take 2 minutes to write down what you believe your strengths are now. I want you to think of your life experiences now. Lisa, your mother, Yvette, your mom, everybody else's personal experiences. Think about your strengths now and write them down and see how much different they're going to be than before you got here. Okay, Yvette, we asked you to write down your strengths after we discussed the importance of your strengths. What strengths have you come up with?
I'm very strong. I'm family-oriented, fluent, very mature, outgoing, nice, friendly.
Okay. You're going to be interviewing for a teacher position. Do you think that those strengths will be needed, and will you be able to apply those strengths to the job that you're going to be interviewing for?
Yeah.
Do you think that in your current job there are any experiences or strengths that you can add to it to make you even stronger to become a teacher? Example. You're dealing with people, and you're very good at it, and you're a great listener. Do you think your students would like that attribute in you?
Yes.
The fact that you're punctual, you're on time, is that important in being a teacher? Yes. Being able to communicate and talk to people and get them to listen to you, is that important?
Very.
Being a problem solver when they come to you with their issues and being a good listener, is that important? You can probably sit at home and prepare yourself and think of all the things that are needed to become a teacher. And you've probably done half of those things in your current job, and you don't even know it because you haven't thought about it. You need to take the time, look at what you've experienced in life, in all your jobs, and how have all those other jobs and all those other experiences helped you to become a teacher. And then you need to communicate that with the interviewer. Why you're going to make a great teacher, because in the past I've learned to do this, 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 and this. You just said one of your strengths was being mature. Why is being mature important when you're standing in front of a group of 6-year-olds?
That way they see you as an adult and not a child, and they respect you.
Exactly. And that's what you should say. I am someone that I consider to be very mature. I know how to delegate. I know how to take control of a situation. And when I get in front of my classroom full of 6-year-olds, they're going to respect me because I'm the adult, I'm the mature one. Communicating your strengths, giving them an example. You can't be shy. You've got about 30 minutes to sell yourself. And that's how you have to look at your list. Jacob, you wrote your list.
I have quite a few. I'm family-oriented. I'm trilingual. I have a very type sports mentality. I'm very competitive. I have the desire to achieve all my goals. I'm punctual, organized. I'm a great multitasker. I'm a leader, not a follower. You only have to show me how to do something once. I'm a college graduate. I'm a proven leader, and I've proven that in college and my past work experience. I'm charismatic. I'm a very easygoing guy. I'm a people person. I definitely have high goals for myself that I want to achieve. I'm a born salesman. and I have very strong networking skills.
Okay, your list grew from the first time. But you could narrow that down, and depending on the job that you're interviewing for, you're looking for a sales position. So out of the list of 12 things there, which ones do you think are most appropriate for a sales position?
Probably having a competitive mentality.
Okay, give an example of that.
Well, in any organized skill set as far as competitive wise, whatever field, as far as if I'm in sales, I'm going to be in competition against my other sales rep to meet numbers. So I'm going to have to.
So you're goal-oriented.
Exactly.
You strive to be the top performer in everything you do.
Exactly.
You don't like to finish second.
Right.
You're very competitive. That's how you communicate the fact that you're very competitive. Next one. You're organized, you said. You're reliable.
Right.
Okay? You can, at that point, you can give an example of when you were reliable. Manager needed me someplace, this is how I did it. Whatever it is, think about those strengths, how they're going to apply to the job, and you need to communicate it strongly. This is your chance to shine. Lisa.
I am very professional. I love meeting new people. I'm energetic, a team player, excellent communicator. I said that twice. Great networker, which leads back to meeting new people. A self-starter and a go-getter.
Okay. It's a much better list than the first time. What do you want to do for sales?
I'd like to get into medical sales.
Medical sales. Okay. Are you familiar with a typical day in a hospital? Have you gone that far where you've researched that yet?
Yes.
You have. Okay. Where I'm going with this is it's thinking outside the box when you're finding your skills, and it's applying it to the job that you're interviewing for. If she wants to sell medical products in a hospital, she has to know the environment that she's selling into. Okay? When a doctor and a nurse has been in the OR for 8 hours, chances are the nurse is going to be sweating to death. She's going to be in her booties, cap and gown, no makeup. Now, Lisa's very attractive. I can't imagine a nurse being happy if she came running in like a cheerleader and she's looking a mess. Or the doctor has just lost a patient. You have to be familiar with the surroundings. So you have to find strengths that can be attached to that. One of the strengths that I would think of for Lisa would be compassionate. And she is a compassionate person. When you talk about what she did for her mother, she's compassionate. Use it. I understand when people are in a stressful situation, I'm not going to go in there and try to sell them. I'm going to give them a shoulder. I'm going to give them a hug. I'm going to be there for them. And that's how you build a relationship. But you know that one of the strengths you need is to be compassionate. You have to be understanding. You need to know what strengths apply for the job. Her list got better. Just needs to think it out more. I'm
sticking with my original 3 and going to build on that a little bit. Again, I am a great listener, communicator, excellent conflict resolution. I thrive in a team environment. I'm definitely a team player. I'm extremely career-driven. I'm a creative thinker and a creative writer. I'm always eager to learn, to build new skills, and to be challenged.
Again, with you've got the right words and the right strengths for yourself. You come across like you're reluctant to say them when you shouldn't. You should just be very proud, and you have to just come out. You have to blossom is what you need to do with a lot of energy, and be very proud of who you are and how you are. That is the only weakness that I see. The responses are great. You just can't think about them. Mm-hmm. They've got to be very spontaneous. Yeah. You just said that you're a creative thinker. Now, everybody wants to be a creative thinker. That's great. Give me an example when you were a creative thinker.
Absolutely. Right now, I'm assisting a small PR firm in town, and one of my tasks is to create personal profiles for the neighborhood council members who are part of our client's team, and I have to creatively represent these people and put a face on one side of an opposition of a public affairs dispute, and I have to creatively.
It's okay. It's okay. No. Where you're going is wonderful. You don't have to elaborate that much, because then you get long-winded and you lost me already.
Yeah.
But if you can condense that, think about that story, break it down into 2-3 sections. I did this and I did this, and bottom line, this is how it was resolved, because we only have 30 minutes and you're using it up. Again, you've got the responses, you just need to be prepared. David, your new strengths.
I gave serious consideration to your question this time. I think I want to talk to you in terms of what I have to contribute, actually. I'm an experienced team builder. I can give many examples of that if you want. I'm used to taking people from beginning to end of a project, putting them together and learning their strengths and weaknesses and working with them and being tolerant. I had these reversed, and I reversed them intentionally. Number 2, I'm enthusiastic and energetic. I bring that to the table. But the third one, which I think is maybe the most important for us, is I have hopeful expectations. I have an inbred belief that we're going to accomplish this project in time and on budget, and that's really my goal in terms of working with you.
Did anybody think that was substantially better?
Yeah.
You're coming a long way. Very nice. Very nice. You've condensed it. You've explained yourself. You got right to the point, and it applied. It was relevant to what you're trying to do. That was absolutely terrific. I was thrilled with that response. You've got a starting point now, and that was great. So I'm going to ask you again. What are the 3 greatest strengths needed for the job that you're going to be interviewing for? David, what are the 3 strengths that are needed the most for the job you're interviewing for?
In short, to be an excellent project manager, I think you need to have experience in team building. I think you need to be enthusiastic and energetic, and I also think that you have to have hopeful expectations and belief in your team.
Great. Jamie, 3 strengths that you believe are needed for the job you're going after.
If I'm going to be a tutor, I definitely need to have a good attitude. I also need to be persistent and caring and detail-oriented.
David, 3 strengths that are needed in the job that you're interviewing for.
I believe you have to be an excellent communicator and listener. I believe that you must possess a strong set of creative skills, and I believe that you must have a high desire to learn the business.
Lisa?
You have to love meeting new people, be an excellent communicator, and discussing the benefits, as well as a listener and hearing what their needs are, and great at follow-up and closing the deal.
I actually have 4. I'm competitive, a huge multitasker, a people person, and the fact that I have strong networking skills.
Okay, I'm an interviewer. You've got those 4. I say to you, Jacob, what are your 4 top strengths? What are they? Give me your best pitch, your best salesmanship presentation. What are your strengths?
I strive to be the best. I can multitask. When things are thrown at me, I can juggle them all and get the goal done. I'm a very big people person. I can deal with young, old, bad moods, good moods, anything you can think of. And I have very good networking skills where I know how to outsource and use connections to achieve goals.
Great. It's getting better. Yvette, your top 3 strengths that are needed to become a teacher.
Be motivated so that the kids see that you want to be there and teach them. Have charisma and be very energetic, because kids have energy, tons of it. So you have to be full of energy also.
Okay. All right. What we've done here is we've identified the strengths that are relevant to the job that you're interviewing for. It's going to build the entire case. It's going to explain exactly who you are and why you're the right person for the job. And not only are you going to be able to do this job, but you're going to do it extremely well because you have the strengths that are needed for this specific job. We were talking about strengths and communicating your strengths and knowing your strengths. There is a fine line between being cocky and arrogant, or being confident and being proud. There's a fine line. That's the way to do it. You don't want to come across arrogant or cocky because you're not going to be likable. Nobody wants to work with somebody like that. So again, be confident, be proud versus arrogant and cocky. I want to talk about weaknesses. And I will start with David.
I think that once a project has been completed, I expect to follow through. And sometimes the way wheels grind in business, it's going to be a lot longer before you see any results from that project ending.
Jamie?
I'm sometimes a workaholic. That's true. I sometimes could spend too much time working and not enough time with my friends or family, which is a weakness in life in total. Maybe not for the job, but just in general. I need to balance more.
David, what are your weaknesses?
I'm not at my best when working alone for very long periods of time without interacting with other people, whether that be other team members, clients, management, so on. I don't have a great deal of professional experience in the field as of yet.
The degree has always been an issue with me, a hardness in my heart, and I need to find more of a balance within my life. I strive to do that.
Jacob?
Spicy food and hot Cheetos. I'd say I'm detail-oriented, where I need something to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, I strive to make it perfect, so that in the long run means more hours, more time, more dedication, which is fine.
You bet.
It's probably the main one is wanting something to do at all times. I like to be busy. I don't like to sit and just wait for you to give me something to do. I like to be on task, busy.
Good, good. So you know when the question comes up, what are your weaknesses? They're trying to determine how smart you are. I want you to think about a pharmaceutical company. Okay. If you think about when a rep goes in to see the doctor and the doctor says, what are the weaknesses to your drug? Do you think that the rep is going to say, well, we've got 3 or 4 lawsuits against us? They're going to be trained at corporate how to give a canned answer. I've had candidates say, I have a difficult time getting up in the morning. Okay? Mm-hmm. The question is to identify how smart you are. You want to give a canned answer, and you want to give an answer that is a weakness to you, but it's a positive to the company. I'm a workaholic. I tend to take things very personal if they don't get finished. Okay? I'm not a procrastinator. I don't like to put things off to the next day, what could have been done today. If things don't get finished during the day, you don't want to be around me that night because I'm a bear. They're not asking you to say something stupid about yourself. And if you're one of those people, I don't want this person working for me. That's all that is. Be smart. Don't give them something dumb. I have to tell you, many of you gave, your answer was wonderful. It was great. Everyone had pretty good answers. And so nobody shot themselves on the foot, which is great, and that's what we want to do. What were your responsibilities in your last job? When that question comes up, they are testing your communication skills. They want to hear a presentation on what you did. And if you're in sales, Jacob, and he says, what are you doing? What were your responsibilities? What were you selling? You need to pretend that this person is about to ask you for $1 million order.
Find the product.
Sell him on exactly what you were doing. I did this, 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 and this, and I was calling on this, 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 and this. But you need to build that story. Paint this picture of everything you did, how much responsibility you had, how you did it, how many people reported to you, what you got accomplished, how much work you did. Paint a picture of who you are and what you did on the job. If you're in sales and you can't do a good job of selling what you were selling, how the heck are you going to learn his product? And that's what he's testing you. If you're giving him a great presentation on what you've done in the past, he or she will know you're going to do that with their product. So think about what your responsibilities were in any of your jobs. Again, back to flipping burgers. You didn't just flip burgers, you dealt with the public. You interacted with a full team. You worked under pressure. Paint a picture. Educate them on what you did in your last job. When the question comes up, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? For men, it's a pretty straightforward question. But for women, it could be a trick question. So I'm going to ask the ladies on the panel here that question. Jamie, where do you see yourself 5 years down the road?
I see myself with starting a family. I see myself still working. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. So I want to be advanced in my career, but also starting a family.
Okay. Lisa, where do you see yourself 5 years down the road?
Working for your company and being the #1 salesperson.
Yvette, where do you see yourself 5 years down the road?
Finishing college and being a teacher for elementary kids.
The reason that it's a trick question is exactly what Jamie said. The last thing that a company wants to do is invest thousands of dollars in training, thousands of man-hours getting you prepared, and then you're going to leave and go on maternity leave. Once you get into the job, once they know how good of a worker you are and what a great team player you are, if at that point you decide that you're going to have a family, I promise you, they're going to be ecstatic for you. They're going to be supportive. But if you say that in the interview, you're never going to get there because they don't know you. And they don't know how wonderful you are. And they don't know what they're missing. One response that many people use, and you never use it, is when that question comes up, you never look at the interviewer in the face and say, I want your job. And it happens. It happens all the time. Remember what you're there to interview for. You know the job you're interviewing for. I'm here because obviously 5 years down the road is a ways down, but at the moment I want to be the best person in the job that I'm interviewing for. I want to do the best possible job I can. And if there's an opportunity to train people down the road, I want to do that. And when the people I train start doing well, it's going to be a reflection on me, my teaching, and my people skills. If there's a management assessment program that I can be part of, I would love to get involved with that. I'm looking for a home. I want to grow with your organization. I want to make an immediate impact in what I'm doing, and I want to be rewarded for my efforts 2, 3, 4 years down the road. That's where I see myself 5 years down the road. With this company, successful and part of a family. Again, You've painted a picture of what a quality person you are in your response. You've thought it out, you've prepared, you know when the question comes up, where do you see yourself 5 years down the road, you're going to have the right response. The question may come up in the interview, what kind of money do you want to make? Dave, when the question comes up, what kind of money do you want to make?
That's an interesting question, but I think it's predicated on my fit with the company, and I think that should be discussed at a later point in the interview.
Okay.
75K.
I'd like to make 50K.
I want to make 6 figures.
I want to make half the amount of sales I do.
More than what the teachers are making now.
You want to make 40. Okay. All right. When the money question comes up, you never want to give them a dollar figure, ever. You're either underpricing yourself or overpricing yourself. When the question comes up, how much money do you want to make? The money's going to come, but for most of you, what's more important is your career. And that's what you have to say. The money's going to come. I'm very confident in my abilities. I have a certain lifestyle I want to live. I have a certain amount of responsibility I need to meet every month. Okay? Money is important to me. However, my career is more important. Now, if the manager pushes and says, come on, Jacob, how much money do you want to make? Seriously. You look him in the eye and say, let me ask you this. Your top performer, what does he or she make? $150,000. You tell him, I want to make 151. I want to be your top performer. You put him on the spot. Your career is more important. If he pushes, find out who his top performer is, and you're going to beat that person. Why? Because you're the most competitive person I've ever met. And you believe in yourself. The money's going to come. That's the attitude you have to have. We just talked about overpricing yourself and underpricing yourself. I can't tell you how many times someone actually throws a number out. The company was willing to pay, for discussion purposes, $65,000 to $80,000. And the person comes in and says, I don't have a problem making $32,000. Well, suddenly you've just taken the value out of yourself. Suddenly the red flags go up and they start questioning your experience. Is he at the level that we want? If he's getting paid this much and we're offering this much, he might not be at the level that we're looking for. So you just shot yourself in the foot. So don't give a number. And I said early on, we want to separate you from all the other candidates that are interviewing for the same position. And I'm going to give you an example right now of a separating question. I know how the responses are going to be because I've heard it over 1,000 times. So we're going to start with Dave. Dave, describe a typical day for me. How do you start your day?
I usually arrive a little bit early, get my coffee, the computer's fired up, I check my email, and I'm off to the races. I usually have an agenda and a calendar. There's usually meetings already posted, or if I have something on a sub-agenda that I really need to come up with, that kind of thing.
Okay. Jamie, typical day. What's your day like? Start it for me.
Well, I wake up, get ready, eat a good breakfast, and drive to work. You know, say hi to my boss and, you know, my other employees, and check my email, of course, and then get to work.
Dave, typical day. How do you start your day?
When I arrive at work, I compile my list of daily objectives, and that's how I start my day, is what needs to get done by the conclusion of the day, the workday.
How do you start your day?
Get up and look at my agenda that I have things planned for the day, and then go for a quick run, come back, and get to work on that agenda.
Okay. Jacob, typical day. How do you start your day? What do you do?
Wake up at 7:30, walk the dog every single day. That's one of my big responsibilities. After that, hop in the shower, get ready, eat breakfast, plan out my day even before I get to work. So when I get to work, I don't waste any time. I do exactly what needs to get done.
Okay. Yvette, typical day. How do you start your day?
I get ready, drive myself to work, get there, say good morning to the guards, and then start working.
Did you hear any difference than anybody, or was it almost exactly the same? We talked about separating ourselves. And like I said before I even asked the question, I've heard it 1,000 times. So I knew what the response was going to be already. Okay? So if 10 out of 10 candidates answered exactly the same way, and one person comes in and answers it slightly different, tell me if this person is going to score any points. Alan, how do you start your day? My day starts the night before. I prioritize what I'm going to do. I geographically break down where I'm going to go, who I'm going to see. I plan out my entire day so I know exactly what I'm going to do. When I get up in the morning, there's nothing to think about. I'm out the door making it happen. Now, you can say it's stronger than that, but the fact that you started the night before, planning, preparing, getting yourself ready, that person suddenly has separated themselves from the other 10. He's doing the same thing, except he's doing it the night before. So it's just a response that's a separator. And you need to think about that in all your responses. How am I going to separate myself from somebody who's answering the exact same way? It's just thinking ahead. A lot of companies will use this as a trick question. And it's a simple question. It's a silly question to even lie about, but people do. And the question is, what was your GPA in college? What happens is, if Jamie says my GPA in college was 3.0, then she goes for a second interview, and he says, Jamie, I can't remember. Did I ask you what your GPA was? And you say, yes, it was a 3.0. You go on for the final interview with the big boss, and he says to you, did they ask you what your GPA was? And you go, yes, it was a 3.0. Now they're going to offer you the job, but they're going to let you know. It's going to be predicated upon seeing your transcripts. Can you get them to us? And they're going to look at your GPA. And if your GPA was a 2.0, it means that you lied 3 times. And that's their way of finding out if you're lying or not. If your GPA is low in college, have reasons for it. I was working 2 jobs. I was taking X amount of units. Whatever your reasons were, think about it. There's reasons for everything. I'm not going to say that you were in the bars every night of the week, and you just didn't get to class. Think of the reasons that are positive reasons that helped you grow as a person. You fell behind in that area, but you made up for it in other areas. So start thinking about those things. But again, the trick question about the GPA is just to see if you're truthful or not. Certain things that you're going to want to stay away from in the interview, especially the first interview. You don't want to talk about money. You don't want to talk about vacation time. And you don't want to talk about benefits. You want to stay away from religion, and you want to stay away from politics. Those are areas that you don't even want in your head. This is not about money. This is not about benefits or vacation time. This is about selling yourself and making that interviewer want you. I want to talk about questions that might make you feel uncomfortable in an interview. An interviewer may pose a question to you that you might find racist, that might make you feel uncomfortable. And I want to make it very clear that you have to determine in the interview if you think that this person really is the way he is. And if you can't deal with that, then this is not the company for you. You have to make that decision. However, I know for a fact that managers will test you. They will say something derogatory. They will bring up an issue that may be insulting to you just to see the way you react. They want to see if you're going to become defensive or if you're going to question it. If something comes up, my personal opinion is you say, I'm very uncomfortable with the question. And I'm not sure if you're testing me. How would you like me to respond? A lot of times, a manager is looking to see if you're going to agree with his stupid comment. That tells him what kind of person you are. So, don't get defensive, don't get argumentative, be strong, look him in the eye, and let him know, I'm a little taken back by that question. I find it slightly offensive, and I'd like to know, are you testing me? Because I don't agree with anything that you're saying. The next phase of the interview process is your questions. This is your opportunity to find out about the company that you're interviewing for. The interviewer has just learned everything about you. Now it's your turn. You're going to learn whether or not you want to work for this company. So you're going to have questions that are important to you. I like to ask the managers to describe a typical day. It's their time to paint a picture of who the company is. What's a typical day? What kind of training will I be receiving? Who am I replacing? What were their strengths? What were their weaknesses? Who is your top performer? And what makes them so successful? And that's an important question, because now you have to use your listening skills. Who is your top performer and what makes them so successful? The manager's going to say, that's Alan Ladd. And the reason it's Alan Ladd is because he does this, 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 and this better than anybody out there. What's important for you to know is, if this manager knows that, other managers know that. And if you go on to a second interview with somebody else, it's important for you to remember the strengths of their top performer, because you want to use that. So when the question comes up, what are your strengths, you're going to remember the strengths that Alan Ladd has. And you're going to use those strengths. And guess what they're going to think to themselves? Oh my gosh, we've got another Alan Ladd in front of us. Use the information you've gathered and use it to your benefit. You're going to want to know about the situation that you're walking into. Are you going to be putting out fires, or are you going to be walking into a good situation? And it's better to find out now in the first interview than get into the job and find out that you're walking into a disaster situation. Because if you find out that there are some issues that you're walking into, he's going to need a certain person. You just found that out. He's going to need somebody that can put out fires, someone who can make things right. Find out what you're walking into. It's very important. Ask the person what they love about their job. What do they love about the company? Where does he see the company going in the next 5, 6, 7 years? Learn. Be a sponge. Take it all in. Because when you go to the next interview, if there is one, you want to use that information. When you start talking about the company, you've just learned a lot of information. He's told you 5 years from now, we plan to be here. Why are you here, Alan? Why are you excited about this job? I'm excited about where this company is going. I like that, and I want to be part of that. So in your questions, you're going to gather information that you're going to use throughout the interview process. Ask if they do X, Y, and Z, exactly what your old employer was doing. If that's really important to you, again, this may not be the job for you. You can only determine that. But ask questions that are important to you as an individual. You're not going to get that in a book. They're going to give you a list of 77 questions to ask and go right down it. I want you to ask questions that are important to you. Questions that are going to help make a decision. Questions that are going to paint a picture of the company that you're going to work for.
Here are a few questions you can use to practice and help identify your strengths. Remember, if you know your strengths and know how to make them relevant to the job you're interviewing for, you will be able to answer any question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the interviewer your full name so they hear the correct pronunciation, where you grew up, what you like to do. If possible, make it relevant to the job. Emphasize how excited you are to be interviewing for this job. Remain focused, proud, and energized. Make sure your responses are short and sweet. Why are you here? What are you looking for? You are being asked to describe the perfect job. What are your strengths? Make sure you know your strengths. Communicate, elaborate. Avoid one-word answers. Make sure your strengths are relevant to the job. Don't use the word What are your weaknesses? This question is really to see how smart you are. Come up with negatives that are positives for the company. What were your responsibilities? This question is designed to test your communication skills. Remember the story about flipping burgers? Paint a detailed picture of all the things you've done. What did you do in your last job? Never badmouth anyone. Talk proudly about your past responsibilities and training. Talk about how your accomplishments will help with your new job. What kind of money do you want to make? Never give a number. It's not about the money. It's about your career. What kind of training have you received? Formal training is better than being self-trained. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Be careful. You're in an interview. Keep all your answers job or career related. Your questions. Remember, ask questions that are important to you. Here are a few examples. Can you describe a typical day for me? What type of training will I receive? Can you describe the person that I will be replacing? What were his or her strengths and weaknesses? Who is your top performer and what makes him or her so good? What kind of situation will I be walking into? Is it a good situation, or will I need to put out a lot of fires? What do you love most about this company? Do you promote from within? The close. The interviewer is waiting for you to close, so it helps if you know what it is.
The next phase of the interview is possibly one of the most important. That's the close. And I hope you all understand what it means to close. I'd like to go around the room and I want to ask everybody, what is a close and how do you close?
I think a close is coming to an agreement and securing the position.
Okay. If you want to elaborate, go ahead.
Well, we certainly come to an agreement and you make terms, you compromise, they compromise, and then you sign on the line.
Jamie?
I think a close is when is a lasting impression that you leave with them. And I believe you would say something like, thank you for meeting me, I really enjoyed talking to you.
Okay.
A close to me is absolutely the lasting impression that you're going to make. You're going to want to, I guess I say, make one last pitch of your strength and how it's relevant. A strong handshake, eye contact. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to meet with me, and a clear understanding as to a timeline in which any decision or next step in the process is going to be made.
Selling yourself one last time, mentioning the points that are very important, asking what the next step is in the interview process, and asking for the job that you want to take it to the next level.
Close to me, where I would just put myself in this situation, I would say something like, I hope that we can work together in the future to advance your company's goals and my career goal.
Yvette?
It's the last impression that you leave them with, and I'd say thank you for your time, and I hope to see you soon.
I wouldn't be happy with any of those answers. But we're going to go through it, and I'm going to explain what a close is and how you're going to position yourself and make yourself better. Closing is asking for next steps. I always tell everybody that I coach, do not put the interviewer in a headlock. Okay? Don't put him in an uncomfortable situation. And I always suggest that people close 3 times. And it's a soft close. And I'll explain to you exactly what I'm talking about. After meeting with me for the last 30, 40 minutes, can you see me fitting in with the team? Can you see me doing well in this position? And is there anything that would keep me from moving along in the next round of the interviews? The manager will usually say, I still have a number of people to see. I'm not going to make a decision until I've seen everyone. At that point, I want you to close them a second time. I can't control who you're going to see after me. But if you weren't going to see anyone else, if I was the last person, would you feel confident in my abilities to do this job? And the response will usually be, there's no doubt you can do the job. But like I said, I can't commit till I've seen everyone. At that point, I want you to close them a third time. And I want you to look this interviewer in the face, and I want you to smile. And I want you to tell him exactly what you're doing. I'm closing you for a reason. I don't want there to be any doubt in your mind that not only do I think I can do this job, but I can do it extremely well if given the opportunity. I'm excited about this job, and I'm looking forward to next steps, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And I appreciate everything you've done today and the time you've given me, and I'm looking forward to the next time. And you shake his hand, you get his business card, and you just closed them. When I tell you I'm closing you for a reason, he knows what you're doing. That's fine. He's going to like the fact that you're taking control of the situation. I can't tell you how many people don't close. It's refreshing to see someone not only close once, twice, but 3 times. He knows you're excited. He knows you think you can do this job, and you want to be part of his team and move on through the interview process, and you've asked him for it. That's the close. I've painted a picture of how I would close, but I want you to use your own words. You know what's important to you. In the close, you may say, you know, I'm excited about this, 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 and this, whatever it is. Do you feel confident that I can do this job? Because I really want to pursue this. So whatever words you use, whatever you've gathered from the interview, throw it back at the interviewer, but make sure you ask for next steps. And if he gives you an excuse, he's testing you to see if you're going to close him again. You know, if he says, well, I'm not sure, I'm going to have to get back to you, well, you just took no for an answer. You don't want to take no for an answer. You want to push him again, but you don't want to be abrasive. You don't want to turn him off, but you want to let him know in a positive way. You know, I understand you're going to see some other people. I understand. I just want to make it very clear. Not only can I do this job, but I can do it extremely well. I want to come back for the next steps, and I know without your support, this interview is over. Can I get your support? You're asking for it. If you don't ask, you're not going to get the job.
Are interviewers expecting you to close them?
100%. Very disappointed if you don't close. They're almost to a point where it's in shock that they didn't even close me or ask me for next steps. It's imperative. I want to talk about multiple interviews. You're going to possibly meet with 1, 2, 3 managers, and it's important that you understand the process. You are going to start from the very beginning, exactly the same as if you haven't even had a first interview. You're going to start from the beginning, except you're going to use information that you gathered. But as far as the entire Interview the Best presentation, you're starting from the beginning all the way to the end again. And the difference is going to come when you close. You're going to look this person in the eye and you're going to say, I had a great interview with the first manager. It couldn't have gone better. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that great interview. My question to you is, again, your close. Can you see me fitting in with the team? Can you see me doing well in this position? And when you talk to the first manager, can I count on your support? Will you recommend me for hire? You've closed him. Now if you go to the final interview with the president, once again, you're starting from the very beginning, except in the close. This is the final decision maker, the president. You close him. I had a great meeting with the first manager, a tremendous interview with the second manager, but I'm quite aware that without your support, this interview process is over. Can I count on your support? When you talk to the first manager, you talk to the second manager, will you recommend me for hire? He or she will probably say, it's the first manager's decision. I leave that up to my managers. Again, you don't take that as an answer. You question them. You put them right on the spot. If they were out of the picture and you were the sole decision maker, would you feel confident about my abilities to do this job? And would you hire me? And if you're a good candidate, they'll probably say yes. But you closed them and you asked for it. One response that I don't recommend, I really want this job. And there's a reason for it. You've painted a picture of exactly who you are, why you went to the school you went to, why you took the job you took, why you've done everything in your life. And now you tell this manager, I really want this job. And in your case, Lisa, if you're transitioning from computer sales to hospital sales, the manager's going to look at you in the eye and say, well, Lisa, you said you really want this job. What can you tell me about the cath lab? What can you tell me about our artificial heart? And you're going to say, well, I can't. So how do you know you want this job? Don't say you want the job unless you know everything about the job. Instead of saying, I want the job, you say, Jack, Mary, I'm so excited about this job. I would love to spend a day in the field. Spend a day with one of your best employees and see what a typical day is like. I'd love to talk to some of your people on the telephone so I can learn more about the job. That's a better way to close than telling them I want the job and not really knowing what the job details are.
When you close, if you don't ask for next steps or the job, you won't get either. Here are a few questions to help set up the close. Would I fit in with the team? Do you believe I have the skills needed for this job? Is there anything that would keep me from moving on in the interview process? Make sure they know you're excited about the opportunity and want to move forward in the process. The follow-up. The interview isn't over until you follow up.
I want to talk about following up. You know, everyone will tell you to send a letter, send an email. When you send an email thank you note or you handwrite a thank you note, it is imperative that you have the correct spelling of the name that you're sending that note to. It is so insulting when a manager gets a thank you note and it's the wrong name on there. It's very important that you do a spell check. The last thing you want to do is send a letter where the words are incorrect. I also tell everyone, depending on where the interview is at, sometimes it's at a corporate office, sometimes it's at a hotel. If it's at a hotel, I always suggest that everyone handwrite a note the night before on their own letterhead. Something as simple as, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I thought the interview went extremely well. I'm excited about this opportunity, and I think I could do an incredible job for you. Warm regards, boom. You take that letter at the end of your interview and you go to the front desk and you ask them to put it in the interviewer's mailbox. When he or she leaves the hotel, they're going to check their messages, and there's going to be a nice thank you note from you. And hopefully you will be the only candidate on that day that did that, and that will be another separating situation. You also need to leave a voicemail. 99% of the people don't do that. I want you to pick up the phone when you get home that night. You've asked the interviewer at the end of the interview for a business card, so you have his or her telephone number. You're going to leave a voicemail, no longer than 30 seconds. This is Alan Ladd. I want to thank you again for taking the time to meet with me today. I thought the interview went great. I am so excited about this opportunity. I hope I can count on your support and move on to the next interview. Here is my telephone number in case you don't have it. As simple as that. You're just thanking them with a voicemail.
Follow up. Always ask for a business card so you have all the contact information. Send a thank you note via email. Make sure names are spelled correctly. Leave a short voicemail. If you have multiple interviews, keep everyone in the loop.
You're in the interview and the manager offers you the job. He talks money, he talks benefits, and a start date. But you know that tomorrow you have another interview, and it's the perfect job. It's the job that you've been waiting for, and you've already been through 3 interviews, and you're hoping to get an offer tomorrow. What do you say to this manager who's just offered you the job right at this moment?
I really don't know.
Jacob.
I am excited that you do feel confident that I can be a contributor to the team, but I do have another offer, and I do have to compare both and see what's better for myself.
I would accept the job and still go on the other interview for the next day.
I'm not going to accept the job. I'm going to thank them and tell them that I need 24 hours to consider the offer, and I will communicate with them the next day what my decision is.
I would be really excited, and I would also thank them. And then I would say I'm going to go home also and think about it. Think about your offer and think about all the things that you've just told me during this interview, and I will give you a call.
Okay. Dave?
You gotta flip a coin because I like the idea of telling them that I have another offer, but I think that's a step. I'm gonna have to go with, I'd like to ask for 24 hours for consideration.
You should always accept the job. You can always turn it down tomorrow. You accept the job. You show excitement, like Jamie said, and that was tremendous excitement. You've just beaten now 10, 15, 20 people for this job. This manager is excited to offer you the job. You've just beaten everybody out. And he likes you. He thinks you're awesome. You're going to fit in with his team. He's shaking because he's going to make you the offer. And you say, I need to think about it. I'll come back tomorrow and let you know. He or she may say, I understand. The interviewer may say, I understand. They may say, you know what? I'm going to go to the number 2 candidate because I know they want the job and I know that they're going to accept it. So you always accept the job and you can turn it down tomorrow. We just talked about telling somebody that you need to think about it. The biggest mistake you can make on top of that, you can add another mistake on top of that, because most people say, I need to think about it, like you did, and then you come back and you say, I've thought about it, but I need more money. It's the double whammy. You've really insulted this person, because now you're not only thinking about it, but now you need more money, and if you don't get the money, you're not going to take the job, and another day is wasted. Let's talk about turning down a job. If you're one of those fortunate few who do get multiple offers, you know that that first offer that you're turning down, you know that they love you. Mm-hmm. So you better turn them down and walk away in a professional, positive way, because you never know when that company might come back to you. They may come back 6 months from now and say, we like you so much that we've created a new job, and there's something here for you that could change your world. But if you would have stomped on them and been rude and just cut their job down and took another job, they're not going to like you, and they're not going to say good things about you. You're in a good position. Do it right. Do it professionally. Be sympathetic that they just lost one of the best hires they were ever going to have. I want to talk about asking for more money. And I recommend to everybody, no matter what the offer is, even if you like the offer, you always ask for more money. There's a way to ask for more money. You look the interviewer in the eyes and you explain to them, if I have a certain amount of responsibility that I need to meet every month, I need to ask you a question. But I'm not asking you as an employer-employee relationship. I'm asking you as a friend. Can you go to corporate and ask for a few more $1,000s on the base salary? It would really help me. But I want to make it very clear. It's not going to predicate whether or not I take this job or not. I want this job. I'm taking this job, and I'm going to be the best hire you ever made. I just need to know if you can get me a few $1,000s more on the base salary. It would mean the world to me. 99% of the time, the manager's going to say one of two things. I have a ceiling already. I already came to the max of what I can offer you. Or, let me talk to my boss. Let me see what I can do, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And 99% of the time, the manager will come back the next day and say, I got you the extra money. Because it shows that they went to bat for you. Mm-hmm. You're starting off a relationship one-on-one with you, that they're very proud to do that. They did something good for you. It makes them feel good, makes you happy. Everybody's starting their new job on a positive note. But you didn't put him put him in a headlock and make him choose. You explained that it's not going to be a deciding factor. I'm taking this job regardless. That's a nice way to ask for more money. I know that things are tough out there, and the economy is tough. And like we said before, no one's ever taught any of you how to interview, how to sell yourself, how to paint a picture. And I think that if you take what you learned in Interview the Best, and you just take the time to listen to it and paint your own pictures, you're going to separate yourself from every other candidate out there. And you're going to land a job, and you're going to land a great job. And you're going to help other people. If you listen to what I'm saying on Interview the Best, it will change the way you look at the entire interview process. And you're going to feel good about yourself. And you're going to feel confident. And the next time you go in for an interview, you're going to be so much better prepared.
Yeah.
I do. I wish you all the luck in the world. I really do. You guys are wonderful. You're very qualified candidates that just need a little help, and hopefully you got it today.
It doesn't matter how overqualified or underqualified you are. The person who interviews the best will always get the job.